pirates. They'll live. Granted, we're going to have a hell of a public performance when this mess is over. They've given me an exhaustive list in which every way a Maratavekis is a black-hearted sinner. Let them babble long enough and they'll try to convince you she only finds pleasure in corrupting the souls of the innocent and how their filial loyalty put them in the crosshairs of a soulless beast. Victor states, granted, they're not going to be walking until after healing comas or bionic leg replacements. I more or less crippled them. Good. No one is happy with what happened. Turns out those satellites that the defense fleet have been shooting out would have worked as carriers. But she had more. All of Vuxa felt that. It was at its worst in the heart of madness, and worse to those sensitive to axiom changes. Our synthetic population proved completely immune to this hate signal, which is weird but useful. The synth ascendancy, the daughters of the gear and the way of metal are all moving outwards in a charity drive to try and calm the madness that Mother Massacre spread. Make no mistake, I consider this an act of total war. I don't care if we have to remove entire islands from the surface of Vuxa now. I want her dead, Agenda says deliberately. That hate plague nearly made me kill my sister wives, and my husband was plunged into waking nightmares. That is too far. The good news is that we've captured an inactive massacre, meaning we can fully pull apart her programming and more or less read the mind of the bitch. Also, getting copy of all her weapon designs will tell us what we need. After this, we just need to track the slippery bitch. Right, well, we know she likes to lair in factories, so we ding all those and check them all, even if they're doing well. Set up sensors to see if she shows up there or moves to a new one. I want her every step dogged and hounded so hard that we convince her we're omnipresent. Agenda orders. What was it like? All I felt was hatred, rage, and that nothing could be let slide or back down from. But I saw you bleeding out the nose. Something else happened to you, Mercy asks, and Ryu lets out a pensive sound. The hell of a million needles, thin spikes dripping with poison and writhing with electricity despite being ice cold. Everywhere and all things erupting from my skin to impale me from within. A suffering I could not escape from or prevent. Everything held still and helpless until it dies and rots. I knew it wasn't real, it couldn't be. But a needle erupting from within your own eyeball is... That thing seemed to be aimed at the fight part of the fight or flight instinct. It was on target for everything but humanity, where it missed by maybe a finger's width and hit the flight response as well. We saw horror, you all felt hatred. Not sure which, if either, was better. But I dare say we all agree that we want to ensure it never happens again. Franklin states, get me a list of factories and a bunch of beacons. I'll put one on each roof. We never should have let the stupid girls land. It was a mistake from the start. Probably. But the issue with just shooting down the suspicious is that sometimes it's just a whack transponder. In fact, most of the time it is, Jake says. Still, we will be tightening security further after this. I doubt there's much we could have done besides just shooting them down before they even landed to have stopped this. But there are casualties, people murdered by their own friends and family on their hands now, and ours for letting this happen. So the sooner we get the bitches crucified, the better. Right, speaking of, Franklin, I'm not turning aside any volunteers for anything. Get yourself over to my mansion and we'll give you the tools you need and the information. I want heads on spikes for this. Agenda growls out. Victor, direct order. Get that body over to this place yesterday. I'm getting our best technicians and hackers over here. She's getting dissected. And the prisoners? Bring them too, Agenda says in a growling tone. Yes, ma'am, Victor states. Enemy forces affected by mental attacks in non-standard manner. Mother Massacre states after both her and Amarada reappear. Opposition utilizes null-resistant weaponry and biology. Danger level increasing, adjustments required. What next? Amarada asks. The sheer change and the fact she just lost all the family she just personally knew has rendered her numb. Population armed and defended. Single-pronged attack insufficient. Unusually resistant and focused opposition. Dual-pronged attack insufficient. Triple-prong attack likely insufficient in light of sheer aggression. Quadruple-prong attack potentially insufficient in light of unusual physiology. Quintuple-pronged attack initiating. Preparations underway. Oh, no, you're going to tell me what the hell you're doing next? This is already insane, Amarada says, and Mother Massacre gives her a look. The welded faceplate makes her all the more intimidated. Constant drone pressure, hate engine, toxic spires, elite drone commandos, mobile raid bases, commencing drone reconstruction. You will require a biohazard suit. Mother Massacre states, and Amarada's jaw drops. Oh shit, she's going to burn down Vuxa to force a win. Are you, the pirate woman says as a bloody and clearly furious Franklin arrives. Normally, his scatterbrained and awkward manners made him seem cute. Coupled with his astounding axiom skill, he was like watching a good and schlocky video. Right now, it looks like the genre is about to become horror. My son is still screaming, Franklin says. He's bled out the nose and screaming in agony. I've already fetched Mirage, who still isn't able to calm him down. My children are traumatized. I'm going to rip her apart one circuit at a time and feed her system power so she can't deactivate and spare herself the pain. And if she can't feel pain, I will put the components in so she can, Franklin says tightly. Get the fuck in line, Moira hisses out as she stomps into the room. Flagstones crunch under her claws as she barely keeps herself in control. How's Willow? Franklin asks, and Moira slowly shifts to show that 5 of her bodies have claw and bite marks along part of them. I see. Liu Shu is now taking a nap. I'm going to kill something or someone before she wakes up because I need to calm down. I nearly killed my own child, and she nearly killed me. Right. Well, first step is to find the bitch. That's my job, so if you'll excuse me, I'm off to get you a target, Franklin says as he hefts the bag full of scanners and grabs the data slate in the side pocket. First location, then he's gone in a teleport that feels like he just punched a hole in the axiom. Moira turns to the girl still with her. I almost killed my own child. I might not have laid her egg, but that girl is born of my flesh and… I know. I was in public when it happened. Everything turned to rage and the happy bar I was in turned into a war zone in seconds. Many are recovering at home. The hospital, there are deaths there. Deaths everywhere. Everyone knows someone who has killed a loved one if they haven't themselves. Who invents weapons like this? Monsters. I've killed. I've stolen. I've sold drugs. I've sold weapons. I've made the galaxy a worse and worse place to live for my own personal gain, but this is too much. Let's hope that this is the worst of it, Moira says. Fuck, oh fuck, please tell me I'm mistaken with Schematic Commander Drone Model 3. Byron asks into the room. His whole family had been relocated into a secure bunker, and he had a copy of the data extracted from the inactive Mother Massacre. They were going over her weapon designs, and he really didn't like what he was seeing. This is… oh no, this is bad, Pole's Climber states. She's a full-body conversion from an Agurk and had deliberately rechristened herself into a dirty name in her youth. Now she was older and more mature, and was keeping the name as a reminder to herself to think things through. That hate engine is bad enough, but this thing is even stronger at a closer range, Bearman states. His family had resisted unusually well compared to most. It had still been horrible, but their former status as slaves had hardened them all. With Baran's undaunted training, he had been able to remain in complete control of himself and distracted his family long enough to stop anyone from hurting anyone but him. His Estella was still very apologetic about the fact she had nearly torn a chunk out of him with her teeth and was now cuddling against him for comfort, just trying as hard as she could to earn forgiveness that she already has. Granted, she has his forgiveness, but not her own, which is going to be a problem. And it's mobile, and it has multiple turrets of plasma, laser, and rail launchers. Pole's Climber states, and Baron nods in thought. What the hell did this family fight before then that needed these kinds of weapons? Well, this mental attack is the perfect way to destroy the unity of an enemy, especially if they're hunkered down in a hardened position. If they react badly enough, the enemy forces will tear themselves apart. Wait, what's this? Byron cuts off his musings as he rescans a bit of information. Hey, I found a curious link here. It connects them to another part of the blueprints. It's an attack plan, one with familiar steps. Byron scans through and pulls out his communicator. Salwar Control, This is Technician Bearman. I found the enemy's plans. I repeat, I found their plans. It's an escalating order of threat. First is just drones, then it's drones and the engine, then it's the drone engine and some kind of toxic pump into the atmosphere. Then it brings out elite drones capable of widespread destruction, then teleporting drone hives to assault settlements. Then it begins crashing satellites into communities. Then it starts redirecting asteroids. After that, it gives up a world as lost and destroys rather than hacks the communication network before attacking the food sources. She's going to go scorched earth. We need to stop her now. On that, we agree. We're scanning our own copy of this data repository and not liking what we see. Find and shut the monster down. Admiral Cistern speaking. Sir, the situation on Vuxa is evolving fast. They captured an inactive mother massacre and have her blueprints. It includes battle plans. They know what she's going to do, and she clearly intends to crush the entire world before giving it up. Does this include copies of this hate engine? It does, sir. Cognito-hazard weapons are to be labeled under top-tier restriction. We can't risk destroying the data. It's too valuable to find a way to fight them. But letting some hacker fool release them is unacceptable. Yes, sir. The data is being examined on closed system devices exclusively. We'll be scrubbing them after putting the data into proper storage. There is good news. Oh? There are helmet designs for resisting this cognito hazard that might be capable of deflecting other such effects. Excellent. I'm glad we're getting to the first few sweet fruits of this bitter harvest, Admiral Cistern states. How far out are the reinforcements to Vuxa? Still days away. Damn. Warp in, adjust to whatever kind of roof it is, usually flat and covered in gravel, and place a scanner on it. Check coordinates, calculate, pull axiom, and warp again. Ignore the sensation of strings, chains, and code. Does code even have a sensation? Warp in, over and over again. Thousands of times in quick succession until he runs out of scanners. But there are still a dozen more factories to go. Check coordinates, calculate warp. Listen. He rushes to the edge of the roof and floats down to look in windows. Arguments and debates on what's going on. Someone turned their tools on their fellows. A lot of people turned their tools on their fellows, and one of them was unlucky enough to find their hands empty when the world had turned to rage. And her co-worker was now suffering as well. To go from honest worker to murderer is no easy thing, and the broken sobbing of the woman shows she's not having an easy time. Massacre is not here. He pushes everything aside and checks the coordinates, calculates, and is gone to the next factory. She's running out of places to hide. He will find her.